I apologize for making yet another video on this topic, but at the same time, I also don't apologize at all, because if you are watching this, you are encouraging me, okay? You are encouraging my bad behavior. This is on you. No, it is funny to talk about this stuff so much, but like, I mean, it's Nintendo Directs, like, outside of big game releases. Like, this is the thing. Like, this is the thing to talk about. Whether there is one or isn't one, whether we're talking about one coming or one that came or one that did not materialize, for some reason, it's just fun to talk about. So if you're here, then there you go. Let's lean into this. Because it really is a particularly weird time for Nintendo Directs. And, you know, I'm not going to rehash the entire thing. I recently put out a video talking about, you know, just kind of struggling with the reality that it seems like, okay, yeah, we're not getting a Direct for this time of year. Normally we would get one in February, and it was like, okay, we've had a lot of non-Direct stuff. Maybe in March. March is still technically possible. It's not something that Nintendo has really done a lot, especially not in the last few years since they've established a real cadence with these things. There isn't really a precedent for a March Direct, but it was at least technically possible. And it's so funny, too, because normally when they start giving us this non-Direct supplemental content, it means we're not getting a Direct, as we've discussed plenty of times. It's just that this time, the expectations were so high. You know, like, we really extra looking forward to seeing one. And so it was like, they gave us all this extra stuff, but each individual item was, like, not necessarily proof that we weren't getting a Direct, because each individual thing could have, in theory, been, like, on top of a Direct, you know? It's like, Indie World. Okay, they have Indie Worlds a couple of times a year, so that's not necessarily proof of anything one way or the other. Okay, fine. Partner Direct. Okay, yeah, in the past, we've gotten Partner Directs instead of regular ones, but at the same time, Switch 2, it's early in the Switch 2's life. There could just be that many third parties, so they wanted to get all these out of the way so that they could just focus on first-party stuff or more important third-party stuff in a full Direct. Okay, like, you could kind of rationalize it in a way. Tomodachi Life Direct. Okay, maybe it's just, you know, sometimes they just have enough stuff to say about a game that they can't fit it in a Direct. They were always going to do a Tomodachi Life Direct. Okay, yeah, fine. The Treehouse for Pokopia and Super Mario Bros. 1. Okay, well, these things are coming out soon enough that they just didn't want to wait for a Direct. They wanted to give them a much bigger look, especially Pokopia. Wanted to do a deep dive, and they tacked Mario on there just because, like, it's coming soon. Not that big of a deal. Don't want to wait for the Direct. Just want to get it out of the way. See, like, all of these, it's just like, it's okay, yeah, fine. It all could, in theory, still just be supplemental content. Stuff to get out of the way, because we're gonna be getting the biggest, the biggest, craziest Direct ever, and we're gonna get it in March, or maybe April, but just sometime in the first chunk of the year. And then we got a new trailer for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. And I think maybe it is funny, just the very idea of taking, like, this one datum and believing it to be, like, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Finally, now it's essentially confirmation that we're not getting a Direct. I do see it that way, though. I really do, because I cannot apply the same logic to this as I have been able to with all of the other things. If I could look at each one of those other things and say, in theory, this could still be on top of a regular Direct that's coming soon, this is finally, after such a long line of things, too. After so many different, I'm probably forgetting so many different, Mario movie Direct, there's another one, just individual things that have happened over the last month or so. Yoshi, the new trailer, is the first thing I cannot hand wave away. I cannot. This game is not, like, it's coming soon, like in May or whatever. But it's not so soon that, like, oh, we need a trailer and we need it now. We need the launch trailer. We need the overview. No, it was not necessary. It was not necessary at all. This was a trailer that was simply meant to be the next trailer. The sort of trailer that, you know, you put the initial reveal trailer in one Direct. and you would save this for another Direct. It's just more. It's just, hey, here's another taste of the game. Here's other stuff about the game that we'd like you to know. It's not a treehouse. It's not a dedicated Direct. It's not a deep dive. It's just the next trailer. And there is no reason whatsoever for them to give that to us now if there's going to be a regular Direct anytime within the next couple of months. There's just simply no reason. No reason at all. I honestly do. I mean, like, I already was, like, pretty sure we weren't getting one. That's why I posted that video. It was still, like, a 0.00 something %. Like, maybe we still technically don't know what Nintendo's gonna do. This is really it, though. I think that this is the final nail in the coffin. All the various similar analogies you may want to use, but, like, this is it. There's no reason why Nintendo would do this. They gave us this trailer because we are not getting a Nintendo Direct before June. As always, they could do whatever. They could give us one in April. I don't know. Technically, they could. Probably, though, no. We're probably just not going to get one until the usual time. Yoshi, darn it, you did it. You killed it. Yoshi, you came and you just stomped on the last of our dreams. The last of our hope was just snuffed out by Yoshi's cruel dinosaur shoes, his treacherous smiling face, and delightful voice that really hide so much hatred. So yeah. I took a quiz on the Nintendo website, you know, one of those little, like, things, like, right there in the browser, and it was like, Yoshi's 3 favorite things are eating fruit, sleeping in the sun, and delighting in the suffering of others. So now that it feels more or less official, I do find myself just kind of marveling at it all over again. This situation that we're in. I think it's so strange, and that's why I can't stop talking about it. Because throughout the life of the Switch, there were times, a really good handful of times, when it just seemed like a guarantee that we were gonna get a Direct. It just seemed like a guarantee, like, for whatever reason, like, whatever the scheduling of the games that we had gotten up to that point, and, like, combined with what we knew of the future, there were these times, these convergences of everything where it's like, oh, like, this really is the moment where it's ripe. We are so ready, we are so receptive to see what's next. It's the perfect time for Nintendo to do a Direct, and then they just kind of wouldn't. And it would be weird, and it would feel weird. Like, that did happen a good few times. Or, like, we would get a Direct, and it just was, like, not as strong as it felt like it should be. Like, didn't announce as many things for, like, the next year as we thought or whatever. The thing is, I don't know. This may be the strongest example yet. At least since I've had this job and been, like, following Nintendo super closely. This may be the strongest individual example of there being a need for a Direct and Nintendo just being like, nah, we just don't feel like it. And it's a combination of it being so early in the Switch 2's life, but then also the release schedule itself just being weirdly light. Like, we basically haven't had, like, a really big, solid, crazy Direct since before the Switch launch, the Switch 2 launch. Like, we had the one in April, the one before launch, like, that was as good as it gets. I really believe that, like, revealed a number of humongous blockbuster games and some smaller ones too. That was great. That was incredible. We got DK, we got Mario Kart. That was great. But since then, we've only had one. We did have one in September. It's just that, like, that itself also really felt like a big opportunity, because most of the stuff that they announced in April came out that year. It came out in 2025. So we're like, all right, Nintendo's really playing their cards close to the chest, So that means that September is always the big opportunity to show off the biggest games for the following year. So in September, we were like, all right, we're rubbing our hands together. We're like, what is next for the Switch 2? DK was great. Mario Kart's great. Kirby Air Riders and all this, and Hyrule Warriors. Okay, cool. But, like, what's next year? We got a whole entire year ahead of us. And we imagine that Nintendo, the last couple of years of the Switch's life, they got a little bit slow. Oh, so Nintendo must be having all of their studios working on all these Switch 2 games. The floodgates are opening. And then the September Direct came along, and it was like, it was fine. It wasn't bad. I'm not going to say it was bad, but it was just like, it was just small stuff. It was medium stuff. It was Mario Tennis. Okay, we're doing that already. All right, fine. Like, the big thing was Fire Emblem. And as always, like, Fire Emblem is great. I think Fire Emblem is fun, and it's absolutely got an audience. It's just not a big thing. It's not a big, exciting, get everybody all together and, like a system seller, basically. We're waiting for the games you put on the Super Bowl commercials, like that kind of stuff. Just because, again, it's just so early in the generation. It's so early in the generation. The Switch 2 is selling fine. We know now that, like, the sales numbers are still good, but there is still this just kind of feeling that Nintendo hasn't quite provided enough of those big games yet to push a lot of people over the edge. We got a lot. I mean, the Switch 1 sold so many units, so, like, there are a lot of people who are just kind of waiting for the next big thing, for a couple more big things. So it was already really surprising when that September Direct happened and just didn't really deliver a lot of 2026 stuff. So it was like, oh, okay. I mean, like, we did eventually get, like, Pokopia, Pokemon. Like, Pokopia is really carrying the Switch 2 right now in 2026. None of this other stuff is going to perform as well as Pokopia. Like, that's a system seller. That's basically the first system seller since, like, DK and Mario Kart. Like, I thought Pokemon, I thought ZA may do better, but it really does seem like so many people were just willing to buy it on the Switch 1. So yeah, Pokopia is really it, but, like, beyond that, we just don't really have much. So because the September Direct was the way that it was, that put so much pressure on the idea of a February Direct. Okay, if they weren't going to reveal a bunch of 2026 stuff in September, then there is exactly one other opportunity. And if you're looking at the basic 3 per year Direct structure of June, September, February, it was February. That was it. If there is going to be time for Nintendo to reveal a big game and have enough time between the reveal and the release, then, like, February is basically it. So February coming and going without a Direct, and now we basically are sure we're not going to get one until June. It's just so strange. It is just so incredibly strange. Like, strange that Nintendo wouldn't... I mean, like, they do what they can. I presume that they just don't have anything they are ready to show off yet, but it's just surprising they don't have more to show off. It really just is. I mean, even the Switch generation, they didn't have as much time with the Switch. Like, sure, like, the last couple of years of Wii U, they realized the ship was sinking, so they kind of pushed everything over to Switch. But, like, even then, though, they were kind of in a hurry. They were not in a hurry here. They've had a long, long time to build up to this generation. So we really did imagine, and especially, like, the games themselves are, like, the graphics are barely better. Like, they're just slightly better than Switch 1 games, but they're just taking advantage of the better performance. So I would imagine that these games aren't even necessarily taking that much longer to make. Sure, you make it a thing like DK Bonanza or whatever with these, like, big crazy physics systems, sure. But for the most part, it's not that big of a jump. And so yeah, I don't know. It really just is surprising they don't have more. And okay, you want to talk about the whole minimum amount of time between reveal and release thing, yada, yada. It is still technically possible that in June, we could get some big holiday title revealed. It would be slightly unusual, especially because, like, between June, okay, well, what is the holiday time? It's usually October, November. They could push it to December. Even that, it's not even half a year. But it is still technically possible that, like, okay, yeah, all right. So that just means that the rest of the year, though, even if we do end up getting one big holiday title revealed in June, that just means that the entire rest of the year is small stuff. It really does. Okay, yeah, it's Fire Emblem, it's Yoshi, it's Mario Tennis, it's Pokopia. Pokopia is a big thing. Okay, sure. We're not even getting Pokemon Gen 10 this year. We're not even getting Pokemon Gen 10 this year. So that's okay. I didn't even mention that. this time. I've mentioned it plenty of times before, but we didn't even get a holiday title last year. And that was weird. That was so weird. I mean, Metroid Prime technically was in the slot. Okay, sure. And then like Pokemon was around there too, but like Nintendo themselves did not put out a first party big system selling game that was exclusive to Switch 2. So again, just yet another thing that was just so unusual. Just so unusual. So now we're looking at this year. We're like, all right, so like there's not enough time to reveal a bunch of really big stuff. If they reveal anything big, it's gonna be for the end of the year. So like, it's the first full calendar year of the Switch 2's life. We're waiting for things to really get rolling, and we're looking at a year with a bunch of like small, medium stuff, and maybe one big thing at the end of the year, but not Pokemon. Apparently it's not even going to be Pokemon, apart from the big inevitable holiday DLC for Pokopia, which is absolutely gonna happen. But yeah, beside that, I have to imagine Nintendo has something. I have to. But the idea of waiting till June for it is just strange. It just makes for a weird year. It makes for a weird 2026. And that is why I can't stop thinking about it and can't stop talking about it. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've kind of finally reached a conclusion here. Now, I really, truly do believe we're not going to get one till June. I think this is kind of the end of this arc. Now we can just kind of like, go into hibernation and wait for the full thing to happen. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, a whole other discussion we could have, we've certainly touched on here and there. It's just like, what even could it be? Hasn't been enough time for Zelda. The Mario team worked on DK, so I don't know if it's gonna, like the rumors are saying it'll be a Mario, but I'm still not really sure. Thought it was maybe gonna be Animal Crossing, but we got the Switch 2 edition, so that's not happening. Yeah, the Switch 2 editions they've really thrown things off. It's really hard to know like what they're even working on right now. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I don't want to be entitled. I don't want to say like, anything less than a 3D Mario reveal this June is not gonna be enough. But at the same time, it kind of feels that way. It kind of does. You can't have the first full year of the Switch 2's life be just kind of like, yeah, it was okay. I don't know. I don't know. Kind of feel like you need a little bit more juice, but we'll see.